world. And one of the ladies who I knew suggested that I went and saw a lady in the village who was a Bach flower practitioner. Well, then when she mentioned that, I thought she might just as well have been talking Chinese, because I didn't know what Bach flower remedies were all about. I looked it up, went and saw her, had a chat to her. I came away with a little brown bottle of remedies, very similar to that. She said, go away, give it to the pony and see if what changes. And that's exactly what I did. I gave him 16 drops over the course of the first 3 days. And within those 3 days, his whole attitude and demeanor changed. It was like a transformational effect. I cannot tell you the difference in him. And I continued with the remedies as required for the whole of the month that we were working with him. And the bad behavior that we've been trying to reprimand, which was demonstrated out of fear, and that's how it was shown to us, and uncertainty, and also an overexertion of character, just disappeared. And this pony lived another 20 years. Sadly died 4 years ago this summer, but that bad behavior was never ever repeated. And I realized then that I hadn't been dealing with the placebo effect, because placebos don't come into it when you're talking to animals. But I thought, I need some more of this and I need to understand more. And that led me on my journey. It led me on my journey to do an introductory course. It led me on my journey to go to Dr. Batch's house in Wallingford in Oxfordshire, to understand more about the man and to really understand the intricacies of the remedies and what they can do. And it led me to realise that actually I really wanted more people to learn about this. Sadly, as a holistic therapist, however, you don't earn a fortune, and I couldn't pay a mortgage on a holistic therapist's wages, and because people don't tend to spend too much on holistic therapists if they're sort of needing money to pay an electricity bill or a mortgage. So I had to keep the corporate job. Kept the corporate job, did a bit with the Bach flower remedies, became a practitioner in 2013. And in the meantime, I then kind of went on and worked more with some people with quite serious problems, because I can talk to anybody with regard to emotional problems. And I'm dealing with people who've been suffering from suicidal thoughts, fear of spiders, PTSD. So we're talking about post-traumatic stress disorders, a wide variety of things. I can help with animals. I work with cats, dogs, horses, rabbits. I did say to somebody I haven't been asked to help with a goldfish, but I'm sure it would help. And I even helped the plant the other day. So don't get the plant drunk, but a couple of drops for a plant of rescue remedy, and I tell you what, it'll come back to life. The remedies themselves, very briefly, Rene, before then I could stop for a breather. Most of you will have seen this, of some shape, form or size, sitting on the shelf, whatever language might be on it. And if you haven't seen that, you might have seen them as well. I'll get them the right way up. That is what most people know about. What people don't know is about these. And I have to show you.
Oh, wow.
38 individual little bottles, all working with a specific negative emotion. And from these, this is what we use. This is what we use to help people feel better. We work on the negatives because, as Dr. Bach says, we don't treat the effect, we treat the cause. So we look as to why people are sad, why people are frightened, why the animals are frightened, why they've got aggressive behavior, what's going on underneath the skin. And that's my job. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to Rene and why I wanted to work with him a little bit was to find out a little bit more about some of my clients. It helps me if I can help my client to talk. Sometimes clients don't want to talk, but if I can learn a technique through Rene, I can actually learn to understand more about them, and I can help them. I thought I could read people quite well, but I learned some techniques through Rene that I didn't know, and that made me help me hugely with my work. I wish I'd learned what I'd learned with Rene when I was working in the corporate world and dealing with banks in London and all sorts of things, where sometimes a man would put you in a very much more uncomfortable position because he was a man of power. I wish I'd had the body language to be able to match him and actually to be able to speak the same language. But I didn't. But I do know that now. And I know a lot more about it. So that kind of gives you a reason as to why I did what I did. People might ask, well, what do the remedies do? How can they help? Well, they can help a dog that's frightened of fireworks for a start. They can help a dog that has been rescued and come a long way from Romania or abroad and had horrendous beginnings in life. They can help a child that has been fostered who's also had a horrendous beginning in life. I've got several children on my books that have actually been fostered in care homes, and they've now got a lovely, lovely home, but they don't know what to do with it because they've experienced so much trauma in the past. And the remedies come in and the remedies help. We can't change anybody's past. We can't change what they've gone through, but we can, with the remedies, help to look at how we can move them forward. I think what I would like to start with, if everybody's still there, is to tell you a little bit about what's in this little yellow bottle and why it works. There are 5 different remedies in this little bottle. Rescue remedy is used, in case anybody's used it, it's used in the moment. It's used in the moment for trauma, for accidents. It's used for exam nerves. It's used for all sorts of situations where you're feeling slightly uncomfortable and slightly difficult. It contains Star of Bethlehem, which is for shock, it is for trauma. It is for neutralizing adrenaline. In its natural state, Star of Bethlehem is the most toxic plant that we handle within the remedies. But in its essence state, it neutralizes adrenaline. We have impatiens for impatience and frustration. We have cherry plum for loss of control. So if you can imagine yourself going to an exam room, and actually all you really want to do is run away or go to the loo and recover and come back again, the cherry plum will actually help you. We have rock rose, which is for terror. That's for the fright and flight mode that sometimes we feel. That rock rose will leave you actually standing there and not running for the hills and legging it when you don't want to do the driving test or you don't want to do the exam. So we have all of those remedies actually in there that will actually calm you down. And then they put one more in there, which is clematis, which is designed to focus your attention. And some of these things you'd never, ever think about. But the clematis, for instance, is for those people that are in a bit of a dream world and are actually frustrated because they can't move forward. Clematis actually brings their focus into the now so they can concentrate. So when it comes to sitting an exam, you can actually think, well, yes, I can read that paper without wandering off and seeing what everybody else is doing. So that's just the 5 remedies within Rescue Remedy. Then what Dr. Batch decided is that actually we can improve on Rescue Remedy and we can make one to help people sleep. Because white chestnut is the remedy for when you put your head on the pillow and the room is dark and you close your eyes and just about everything that you've thought about during the day that you haven't done suddenly comes into your head and your mind goes round at 1,000,000 miles an hour. White chestnut stops what I call the mind monkeys and actually allows you time to sleep. So there is a night remedy as well. And these are available in their various formats. I know that in health food shops internationally. So it's worth thinking about.
Yeah.
Rene?
Now, what is interesting is that what you do is the result that people get from what you offer is that their feelings are changing, right? Would you agree?
Yes. Definitely.
How they make themselves feel or the outside world or whatever the cause is make them feel, you can enhance it for the positive, right?
Definitely.
Now,
Definitely.
the reason I'm interrupting here is that with your body language, you'll attract certain people towards you, or you attract certain, or you push some certain people away from you. Now, some people attract the wrong people and push the right people away from them by their attitude, but their attitude is in fact based on how they feel. And body language will never lie, because if you tell a lie, your body language will show it. If you feel bad, your body language will show it. If you're excited, your body language will show it. Your body never lies. So if you can change somebody's states by these remedies, the way they think, if you're in a state of anxiety or stress, you'll have a certain body language that will attract certain people that you don't need, and to push the right people away from you. But that's not what you want. You want the other way around. You want to attract the right people towards you that have a positive influence, that encourage you in all kinds of ways, that are very excited in life, that, hey, I want to do business with these people, or I want to live with these people, or that can become even a relationship with these positive insights and feelings. But if you're in a different state of anxiety and stress, and you can, through the Bach remedies, enhance it or make it better, your body language as well will change. And finally, you might attract the right people towards you and push the wrong ones away from you. Because so many people, it's always me, it's always the same, and it's not changing. Ever had that experience with somebody saying to you, right? And I said, yeah, it's normal. I feel what you feel. I felt the same way until I discovered XYZ 1, 2, 3. And I go like, oh, what is that all about? And that's what Ross and I had for 8 weeks. We had an amazing experience exchanging information, and it was amazing how you can change your state with certain remedies, and then you change your body language, and all of a sudden your relationship, your business, your relationship with your kids, it's like changing completely for the better. So I have a question though, Ross. Would you have one specific example of, for example, an adult that you had recently in your practice, and that you say, hey, that was a special case, please don't name any names, but somebody that you say, hey, that was a very specific special case, and what happened, how you handled it, and if you have any results already?
Um, I think what I would, yes, I think there's one that I can think of that actually involves a friend of mine with her horse. And I think this is something I would like to talk about, because that link between us and animals is very great. A lot of us have pets that we're very fond of. Some of us might find that they're not always as cooperative as we might be, and we think, well, what we do doesn't affect them. But I think something I've learned to highlight is how our attitude and our behavior affects others, and how by improving our feelings and our anxiety levels can help others, animals, and actually our own children as well. I've dealt with parents and the child. I've dealt with owners of pets and vice versa. So I've been brought in to deal with the dogs or the cats or the horses, and then dealt with the owners as well, and vice versa, come and sort out my child, but actually maybe you also need some help as well. Little bit of a difficult one actually to suggest that, yes, I can help the child and help the child, but I think you need some help as well. And you kind of go, okay, what's coming? They might just put the phone down or close the meeting room and I'll be gone. Couple that come to mind. I had a phone call from somebody actually towards the back end of last year who was really, really struggling with her horse. Really struggling. And I mean, she's got a big horse, feisty thing, didn't know what to do with it. And I actually went to the yard where the horse was, spent probably, I don't know, half an hour with the horse, looking at the horse, looking at her, riding it, all sorts of things. And I'm quite an experienced horsewoman in my own right, so it doesn't intimidate me to actually go anywhere near horses or work with them, and I'm quite happy to ride it as well. And I actually did, and when I got on it, it was totally different. Totally different. But that horse didn't scare me. It didn't intimidate me. And it turned out that she'd come off and had a couple of falls and was feeling quite anxious about the whole scenario. So we treated the horse for trauma. We treated the horse for some fears that the horse had because of other things that had gone on. But we also treated the owner, because the owner was absolutely terrified, it turned out. But it did take 2 hours to get to the bottom of it. She'd had several falls from several horses and thought she'd found the right one. But what she hadn't done when she bought the new horse was to actually overcome her fears before buying the horse. and she'd bought and sold 3 prior to this one. So we had a chat about it. We talked about it, worked through some remedies. She's on rescue remedy on pretty much a permanent basis to take away that underlying thought, but she's actually now at least able to lead that horse in hand, not ride it at the moment, through a yard, up the lane, through the woods, etc., without the horse taking off and being terrified. The key is that when you've got an animal, and the same can apply with dogs, the key is that that animal is looking to you for confidence. If you can't give that animal confidence because inside you're frightened, it's my job to release your anxieties and your fears and help you feel more confident for you to be able to give more confidence to the animal concerned. So that's where that comes from. She's still under my books and I'm still seeing her. And in fact, I'm seeing her later on this week. So, and we're making progress, which is good. The other thing I've had is children. And I have one little boy at the moment on my books who very, very sadly is Down syndrome. So he has a disadvantage. However, this little boy is struggling. He's struggled with lockdown. Now, why is he struggling with lockdown? They came to me in October, absolutely desperate because nothing could help. So what do we find out? Talking to mum, we talked to dad. 2 weeks before lockdown, this couple were due to separate. Lockdown came. The move hadn't happened. Dad was due to leave. The move didn't happen because Dad, not only was he furloughed, so in the UK that meant he couldn't work because he worked for an airline, but then he lost his job. So I had a dad with no job, a mum with work, both living in a house where they didn't want to be, and a little boy with Down syndrome who didn't understand what the hell was going on. He didn't understand lockdown. He didn't understand why he couldn't see his grandma and his grandpa. He didn't understand why he couldn't see his friends. It was like the world blew up. Now, they'd had 8, 9 months, 6 months before I saw them, and they were at each other's throats, quite literally. And the little boy was chucking furniture around his bedroom every night, and mum and dad were having all sorts of a time. And it was kind of that far away from social services. They've had remedies from me now for 6 months. We are, thank God, on the up. And I do say thank God because it got quite dire. Dad is now positive enough to be able to look for a job, and it had actually last week had 3 interviews. I redid their remedies last Friday. Dad had 3 interviews, and hopefully there's a second interview coming up. Mum is feeling much happier. Little boy is back at the school and is much calmer, and there's no furniture flying around the room. And between the 3 of them, they realise exactly what's going wrong. So when Dad gets his job, he's going to go. Mum is happy to let him go, even though at the beginning of lockdown, she didn't want that to happen. So we now have 3 much happier people in what was quite literally hell beforehand. All thanks to...
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing, yeah.
No antidepressants involved, no sleeping tablets involved, no medication from the doctors, just...
Yeah. And you know, Russ, about the horse riding is very inspiring because I used to ride horses for many, many years myself. And if you're not one with the horse, you can forget about horse riding, right? You have to become one. You have to feel them. You have to, because a horse feels what you feel. And if you're not really at ease with a horse, that's so true. That's so true. I've got a lady friend, Ross. I have a question, and there's all ladies in the room. So not that I don't like men, but but anyway, there's all ladies in the room, and some of you might deal with this as well. Is a lady friend from here, from I'm temporarily in Holland right now, and she asked me, yeah, is this working on changes of hormones as well? Is Bach remedies? Would that be something I can use in the change of hormones at a certain age, a certain time? The hormones are changing with females. So
Yes, we're talking about the menopause, and the hormones from that situation. There is a wonderful remedy in the box, and that's walnut. And if
yeah,
you know what a walnut looks like, you'll know it looks a little bit like a brain. And walnut is our remedy for protection from outside influences. So it's all about how the outside world affects you and the changes also within your body. It
yeah,
works on your hormones on all sorts of levels. But there are other things that are involved as well. So there are other symptoms that come along with it, for instance, impatience, frustration, unexplained anger, all
yeah,
sorts of anguish that goes with it. There's also a lack of confidence that comes with it, because all of a sudden a capable woman is reduced to a mess by these hormones that suddenly go wrong. And there's all sorts of other remedies we can use to help from
yeah.
there.
Because
Same
you,
with the remedies, they help, for instance, with children going through puberty, early teenagers. It's all about brain development. And the kids can't keep up with the fact that they don't even understand that their brains are changing.
yeah,
But the remedies can. And the remedies, as I say, they don't change anything outwardly, but inwardly, very
yeah.
good.
So for a lady friend, she couldn't make it to the Zoom, but she asked me that question. Could you please ask the question in the Zoom meeting? I said I will definitely do that.
Lots to do.
So
Lots can
got the
do.
answer.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So what would your advice be for people who are looking for, because I know in the UK, and not only in the UK, I mean in Holland and Belgium and France and Germany, all over Europe, and not to say all over the planet, mental health issues are high, anxiety, stress, and what would your advice be if somebody is looking for extra information? How can they find you? How can they, is there a certain way of contacting you? Is there, we will share that anyway at the end of the Zoom as well. The Zoom is also recorded, so you can get back in contact with Ros and me. But is there a specific way that you work? For example, if I would say, hey, I would like to have some advice of you, what are you doing? Are you going through an invite, or how shall I say, is there an intake conversation, or how does it work, Ross?
In essence, we'll do a Zoom meeting or Teams or text messaging. I have a website that people can contact me through. I'm on Facebook. I have my own personal page on Facebook and a business page. There is a group coming shortly because I have a new toy for people to look at. Let me just get hold of it. I'm starting a group all about the remedies because a friend of mine very kindly gave me this.
Oh, wow.
It's stunning. And there's so much information in here that I want to actually impart, that there's about 5 pages of text on each different flower remedy and some amazing photographs. And my aim is to spend some time actually, yes, imparting that information to everybody. So yes, Facebook, I'm not on Instagram, and I'm not on Twitter yet. I can't keep up with social media because I'm of a generation
Come
where
on, Ross.
social media is in the dark. So I'm getting there, but yeah. I also have more time to spend with, need time to spend with my clients as well, apart from managing social media.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, and I've got a website. So there's loads of places you can find me.
I've got one.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
There is a lady that popped a message in the chat, and kindly, bless her heart, has come on to here. And I think actually, as a current client, she'd like to talk, just say a few words. Antoinette?
Yes, so hi. Recently, a couple of weeks ago, my husband and I took on 2 rescue dogs. We didn't intend on taking on 2. We were only going to take 1. But when we saw them and heard they had to go together, we ended up with both of them. Now, they're both from Romania, just over a year old. Buddy is extremely anxious. He would just spend his time under the table, as close to the wall as he could get, all hunched up. One of the ladies through the rescue organization suggested I speak to Ros, which we did do. It has ended up, as Ros said, you don't just treat the animal, you treat the owner. Ros picked up on the call with me that not only was Buddy anxious. I have very high anxiety. I get a fright if my husband sneezes next to me and doesn't tell me. That's how bad it is. Before this week that I started on the Bach flower remedies, I couldn't remember when was the last time I'd slept through the night without taking 3 amitriptyline, which helps you sleep at night. Okay, I now only take the 1. I've been on the Rose's remedies for a week. So is Buddy. Buddy now lies under the table, stretched out. He doesn't curl up every time my husband walks in the room. He's very scared of him. He goes in and out all day. He's a lot happier. He's still not happy enough to come near me, but it's only been a week. I don't sleep during the day, and I've slept through every night in a week, which is amazing. I just can't explain how it makes you feel that you wake up and you don't wake up tired.
Oh.
So
Can I say something?
yeah.
I didn't know any of that was coming. So that's the first time I've actually heard that from Antoinette. We should have spoken last week, but I missed the appointment. Thank you, Antoinette, and I'm so grateful.
It's a
That
pleasure.
just goes to show how powerful the remedies are and how much they can actually help. And I'm so, so pleased. So yeah, Antoinette is taking the place of your call tomorrow morning, Rene. So I'm talking to Antoinette instead because I still miss my early morning Tuesday calls. I'm sorry. I used to have to say to my husband, guys, just so that you know, I used to have to say to my husband every Tuesday and Thursday morning, I'm sorry, I'm talking to Rene at 7:45 every morning. So he got quite used to it.
Yeah.
So hopefully what Antoinette's had to say to you, just told you, might just just help to
I've got a question. Got a question.
Yeah.
Go on.
Is the remedy completely natural?
Totally.
Okay.
The remedies are, let me explain how they're made, and they're still made like this now. At the Bach Centre, they hand pick the flowers that are used for the remedies at the optimum time of the year. So if they're due to pick and they've had a frost or there's been too much heat, they won't take them. They will only take the pristine flowers, and there's a selection of pickers that choose to pick the flowers. They take them, each individual bunch of flowers. They will either soak them in water in the sun, or they will boil them in water, depending on what the weather is like after the flowers have been picked, because they need to reduce down to get the mother tincture. The mother tinctures are then suspended in alcohol and preserved in alcohol. So there is an alcohol content, but we have to have that for the preservation of them. Without that, we don't have a tincture. What also can happen is for those people that can't have alcohol, we have remedies that are suspended in glycerin. So we can actually work it both ways. If you can't have alcohol, you can have the glycerin ones, and those are the remedies we give to children. These large bottles of mother tincture, which are, I think they contain 5 litres of tincture, then get transferred to the Bach Centre in Wimbledon, and the Bach Centre then make up the little stock bottles like this, which I get to work from. Now, on each bottle, there is a barcode and there is also a number. That batch number tells the Bach Centre what tree, what shrub, where it grows, and what time it's picked, and the weather that it was, circumstances where it was picked. So there is a history of every single. There is a history of every single stock bottle and every single tincture that we have. And when I've had the pleasure of going to Nelson's on 2 occasions, and they've actually got all the logs of all the mother tinctures that they've made over the years. So although a lot of them are now computerized, there are years and years and years of handwritten notes as to how they've done.
Oh wow!
That's how they
do. So besides the fact the use of glycerine or alcohol, let's say there's no alcohol in it, is there an addiction to Bach flower remedies or not?
No, to the contrary, because the remedies can actually be used to help reduce addictions.
All right. Because that was a question I got from somebody who asked me, Rene, is this, when you get addicted to like medicine, the traditional medicines, people can get addicted to medicine, right?
No. And the other thing is, for instance, Antoinette, bless her heart, has told us about today, once they've taken them and the problem's over, it's done. They're gone. That's it. They don't need to take any more. For instance, we look at people who take antidepressants for years.
Yeah.
They don't need to.
Wow. Is there anybody in the room here that has a question for Ross or for me? I'm my expertise is body language, but is there anybody who has a question for Ross about the Bach remedy, the flower remedy? Is there anybody? Please unmute yourself. Just shoot. We're here to listen, and for the very short period we're together, please, this is your moment to ask questions. Please do so.
I have one.
Also, go ahead.
Yeah, I like you. I've got a lot of experience of using homeopathy. I've used homeopathy on and off very successfully myself, my children, including when they were babies, going back almost 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my question is, I'm less familiar with the Bach remedies, although I have used rescue remedy from time to time. Would there be, I suppose that there is the obvious advantage in that you can unwittingly antidote homeopathy if you're not careful, but are there any advantages to going with Bach remedies rather than homeopathy?
They both have their benefits in two different worlds. Homeopathy has huge benefits within the physical world. My daughter takes homeopathic tablets for her asthma. The remedies can't necessarily help with that. The remedies tend to work more on an emotional level,
right,
initially, which can then help with the physical, whereas the homeopathic remedies can work with the physical, which can then help with the emotional.
Okay.
And in my experience, the homeopathic remedies have a real place within the physical world with physical health problems. And then, if you like, the Bach remedies can back it up from there. But equally, if somebody has a headache, there's a reason why they got a headache, and if that's caused by stress and anxiety, that's when the Bach remedies can help.
That makes sense. Thank you.
That's okay. You're very welcome.
Welcome, Susan. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you.
And anybody else that has a question for Ross or for me? Anybody? Please, this is your moment, because we're going to wrap it up afterwards. Everybody knows everything.
Thank you, Antoinette, for sharing. Thank you so much. Amanda, did you want to say something?
It's more. It's not as amazing as Antoinette, but Roz and I've been friends since we met through networking. Networking over the last year has just been so different, and she's been helping me with my Zoom stress. And one of the big problems that I had with Zoom stress was seeing my little picture on the screen, and I just couldn't handle it. And since having the remedies that Roz has given me, I've been able to see me on the screen and not freak, and that has then helped with the Zoom stress later on in the meeting. And so it's not the big things, it's everything that it can help with the emotions. I just thought that it would be nice to share in a body language thing, something about body language.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Amanda. Thank you. Thank you very much. Bless you.
And in terms of body language, if you're in a Zoom, for example, it's so important to have from here up, so you can use your hands so people can really see you. Some people are in Zoom like this, right? Or how do you say it? Like this, right? Hey, everybody, how you all doing? Or they're like this. Oh, yeah, I'm here. Like, I'm exaggerating, but it is a fact. In Zooms, I mean, I've been speaking on stages all over the planet. I was in Iran in 2020. Before that, I was in Thailand. Before that, when I was in 2020, I got stuck in Australia. I travel extensively, not now because of COVID, but what I see around the world is that people are all the same. And there's anxiety, there's stress, there's all kinds of reasons why people, like you just mentioned, Rose, when you have a headache, that headache is not just a headache. the headache has some roots. It comes from something, from somewhere. And then it's a fact in all over the planet, it's the same thing. I mean, and especially in terms of body language is a world thing. It's a global language. However, there's certain cultural differences, that's for sure. You don't know what to do in which country. The best thing to do is to ask the locals, hey, what are the do's and don'ts in terms of the body language? For example, if you do this in Bangladesh, you better run very fast. It's very offensive. And I was doing a session in Iran and Tehran, and I mentioned that, and they said, yeah, but in Iran too. I said, oh, okay. So I'm still learning myself. Don't worry about it. But after 25 years being in this business. So Ross, is there a final thought that you would like to leave with the people participating here, that you say, hey, if there's anything, I don't know.
I think for me is, if I can impress on anybody, don't live with stress unnecessarily. And perhaps, as opposed to trotting off to the doctors, have a think about something outside the box. As Susan was saying, it doesn't matter whether it's homeopathy, whether it's Bach flower remedies, it doesn't matter what it is. Go for a walk, anything. It doesn't actually have to cost money, it can be free.
Yeah.
And going for a walk or sitting in the garden, as opposed to actually letting it go around in your head. Yeah. Open the windows in the morning, listen to the birds if you can. I appreciate if you live in the middle of a city, it's a little bit difficult, but yes, that's what I would recommend. But I'm only too happy to help and take any emails or anything like that afterwards. Then yes, please contact me. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sparing, because some of the people here have actually been on Zoom quite a long time already this morning, and I really, really appreciate the fact they've taken the time to come. So
yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Roxani has a question. Hey, Ross, can you get them in Greece?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll message you after, Roxani.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So it is a fact that the Bach remedies, flower remedies, will have an influence on your state, how you feel, how you live. And what I would like to add to that is that what you feel is what you express, and it's that body language that will attract or push people away from you. I can only say, hey, get in contact with Ross, get in contact with me. We're going to share our details afterwards. This is being recorded, so it's going to be on YouTube available as well. And we're going to share it through email with you. We're not going to spam you. Forget about it. We don't have time, and we don't like doing that. No. But what we're going to share you the link with the recording. So if you want to rewatch it and have all the details from Ross and me, you'll be able to have them, and then get in touch with either Ross or myself. Thank you so much for joining us. If there's
thank you.
Thank you, Ross. I mean, what you're doing is mind blowing. I love it. So if nobody has any questions anymore, I would say let's wrap it up. And I look forward to share the link from YouTube, so you can have a rewatch of what we have been talking about, what Ross has been talking about. And thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you.